I am Bridget Lake, president of the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we are here today with Tesha Ballou. She is running for the 18th Circuit Court Judge, Group 15, serving both Seminole and Brevard County. Our premier virtual Eastside Regional Hob Nob is presented by Lucas Land Group, an Oviedo-based family-run business with interests throughout Central Florida. Our sponsor, Duke Energy, and our radio sponsor, 96.5 WDVO, along with our website sponsor, Palm Tree Tech Center. Now, before we begin our conversation, let's take a brief moment to watch a commercial from our sponsor, Duke Energy.
I know what I want from my energy company. I want to know that my power is always on, and that my family's energy is cleaner and safer. That's why, as a Duke Energy lineman, I'm working hard to make that possible. I absolutely feel honored to make a difference in our community. It's a good feeling knowing that I'm helping to build a smarter, reliable energy future for all of us, for my family and yours.
And now we are back with Tesha Ballou. She is running for the 18th Circuit Court Judge Group 15, serving both Seminole and Brevard. She's also one of our candidates at the Eastside Regional Hob Nob. Tesha, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I am great, thank you for asking, and I appreciate you coming out today. Why don't you start a little bit and tell us about yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. As you said, my name is Tesha Scolaro Ballou. I am a circuit judge in the 18th Judicial Circuit for Seminole and Brevard counties. I was appointed to the bench last year and now am in the election process. To tell you a little bit about me, I came from blue collar roots. My mother came to the United States from Ireland when she was 16 years old. My father was the youngest of 8 children. My grandparents, paternal grandparents, came to the United States from Sicily. All of them became US citizens. So it's a little bit of a different background only because of having parents and grandparents who came from different countries to the US. I watched my parents work day and night to ensure that I had a better life for them. To be honest, they grew up poor. So they worked very hard, shift work. Like I said, there was constant, I remember that. But the one thing I do remember was they always told me how important it was to make sure that I got an education. That was instilled in me from a very young age that I would go to college. That was very important. I think that came from their background from, coming over to the US. My parents didn't have that opportunity. So that was important to them that I did. Further, my mother, it was so important to her, and my mom is a great role model, as is my father. But my mom, from the time I was a young child in elementary school, would take one class a semester, whether it was fall, spring, or summer. And while working a full-time job, and she finally graduated, and we both graduated in 1992. My first job was with my father. He had a part-time job delivering bread for an Italian bakery. And starting at the age of 4, I used to go with him and deliver the bread to the different stores or restaurants. I had my own little box. I always had the small boxes, which was really great because it taught me about hard work and persevering. So that started my path essentially to, I knew I was going to college. That was not a question out of my household, that I can tell you. I went to law school in Boston, New England School of Law, and started my career as an assistant state attorney in the 18th Judicial Circuit. I was there as an assistant state attorney, but I also spent some time as the acting division chief for the domestic violence division. Further, I worked for an insurance company managing their disability litigation, where I traveled all over the United States working on those cases. I had the opportunity to serve as the general counsel for the sheriff's office, handling a wide array of issues, whether it was employment, labor, writing ordinances, litigating forfeitures, litigating administrative employment hearings. It was one of those jobs where you never knew what the day would bring to you. So you were always switching hats, and it was a great experience to learn all different areas of the law and to really be challenged. I did spend some time as an administrative hearings officer I presided over those cases in a quasi-judicial capacity. And I was also selected to hear cases of first impression when I was there, which although I felt very complimented that they would ask me because I was the newest member of that team. It was very challenging, and it was involving issues of great public importance. So I learned from that. That was the beginning of learning when you're hearing a case and there's scrutiny. Although it was a quasi-judicial position, it was still an important matter for the community, and they were depending on what decision that I made and how it would move forward from there. I did spend time at the Department of Children and Families, also working in the General Counsel's office, litigating administrative matters and handling contract issues there as well, handling cases in circuit court. And then prior to my appointment, I was a general magistrate and heard dependency cases. That too is a quasi-judicial position. Hearing dependency cases, some guardianship, and truancy. What was really neat about that position with the truancy cases, after hearing them for a little bit, it occurred to me that the traditional approach to cases was not going to work for that particular type of case. So I was able to collaborate with our community partners, and we developed a program where there were mentors for the youth, counseling services were provided, parenting classes, GED options, and I think the importance of that was we wanted to give the families and the children, or don't want to say children because some of them are teenager, but the young adults, the opportunity to succeed, because that's really important, is having those tools to succeed. I'm a Rotarian, so I'm involved in our community. I served on the pro bono committee for the 18th Judicial Circuit. I'm involved in many professional organizations holding leadership positions as well. My passion is animal rescue. I've rescued a couple of dogs. One of them I have locked away right now. I really enjoy what I do, and I look forward to continuing to serve our community.
That was a very thorough introduction. Incredible. So let me ask you something. When it went back to your parents, both being from Ireland, correct?
My mom's from Ireland. My paternal grandparents are from Sicily. So I have the Irish-Italian mix.
Have you been back there recently?
Yes. I've been to Ireland several times. My mom's entire family is still there. I shouldn't say entire. The majority of the family is there. We have a few cousins here. But yes, we go back. We try to go back every year. My mother and father used to go as well. I went as a child. I have to tell you, when you mention that, it's very interesting. The first time I went there was 1974. And it was a completely different country than going back in 2015. There are leaps and bounds compared to what it was then. When I first went, it was like my poor grandparents didn't even have a bathroom in their house in 1974. So they put one in for us because they knew we were coming. But I do go back every year. I don't like admitting this, the third oldest cousin, because my mom came from a family of 9. So my cousins, we range from the age of 18 to 53. So a lot of my cousins are getting married now. So my husband and I go and we stop and we see my family pretty much on an annual basis, which is great. And also I do it because my mother and my father can't travel any longer. So we go and we represent our family. And I would be remiss if I did not mention my husband, Scott, who we live together here in Vieira with my dog Max, or our dog Max. It's really his dog. I'm just trying to take ownership here.
So I did want to get into that bit because it sounds like you're very family oriented, but I also wanted to get into the bit that Max, and you talked about, well, I mean, now that you mention it, it's your husband's dog.
It's really our dog, but he does the majority of the work, I'll be honest.
But you mentioned your passion for rescuing animals, and Max is a rescue dog. What breed is Max, and what got your passion into rescuing animals?
Max is a 9.8-pound Shih Tzu Poodle mix. He believes that he is a Rottweiler. He is an alpha dog, which it's really funny if you see him walking around the neighborhood, because the big dogs actually back away from him. And I'm not kidding when I tell you he's this big. You know, I think part of it is, as a child, I always wanted to have a dog, and we could never do that because my parents were always working and we weren't home to take care of a dog. And I started as an adult, decided, you know what, I'd really like to do this. And when I spoke to people about it, because I'm one who wants to do research, I'm not going to do anything unless I've looked into it, I've researched it thoroughly, and I know what I'm getting into. So I started talking to people, and actually it was a friend of mine who said, why would you go to a breeder? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I want to make that clear. But they're the ones who put me onto the animal rescue, and I just happened to find the perfect match with my last dog, Snickers, through one of the organizations. And if I could, here's my retirement plan. It was such a positive experience, and Max is the same. We got him from a rescue, and he's just a love. But I just have a heart for animal rescue. I can't walk by. We had a terrible incident the other day where I saw a bird take a baby bird. It's just something that I feel for animals. And I also, I want to open this is one of the things you probably would never know about me without us talking about it. I'd like to open a rescue for senior dogs, because many times dogs are given away that are senior dogs. Nobody wants them anymore because they're a hassle. They become difficult. So that's something I'd like to do. My passion is not only dogs. I want to be clear about that. I also really, to just segue a little, have worked also with helping children. As a magistrate in the dependency system, dealing with abused, neglected, and abandoned children, that was something that was very important to me when I was in that role, making sure those children got everything they needed. You know, situations happen. Not everybody has the ideal situation at home. And it kind of goes back to what I told you about truancy court, is giving families the tools so that they can succeed. That was one of the things I also did when I was overseeing the cases. That was for our partners to do, but I always wanted to make sure if a child wanted to appear, I took the time to listen to them, make sure they were heard and they had what they needed. One of the things that I did realize when I was handling dependency cases and the children would come in is court could be very intimidating for them. One of the things I started doing, it happened by accident. I had a little stuffed dog, it was maybe this big, on my bench, and we had a child appear, and he would not speak. He would just not speak. I couldn't get him to open up. So I had the deputy hand him that little stuffed animal, and it was like that. It was almost like magic. And it opened him up. So what I started doing was giving out stuffed animals for kids when they came in for court proceedings, to try to make them relax, and so that they wouldn't feel so scared and intimidated by it's scary to come to a courtroom, and I wanted to put them at ease and make the hearings go easier. We also used, I'm sure you'll be surprised, the emotional support dogs that were available to help ease that tension too. That's a great program.
Well, I feel like you segued all of my questions into your conversation, which is amazing. I do want to say, before we wrap this up, is there anything else you want to add? Because everything that I had questions for, I mean, you hit from one to the next. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. I am very happy and excited to serve as a circuit judge for the 18th Judicial Circuit, and I look forward to continuing my service not only to the judiciary, but also to our community. Let me tell you a little bit when I say that about serving the judiciary, because I don't think we've talked about that. I know I mentioned Rotary. I belong to an organization here, the Brevard County Military Civilian Council, our Civilian Military Council, which is also community engagement. But as far as the judiciary, I'm the representative for the Judicial Wellness Committee, which is new here, or is new throughout the state. And I'm also been appointed to the Juvenile Court Rules Committee, which is charged with coming up with the rules for juvenile court. I've had the opportunity as well. I was asked to teach at the statewide judicial education through the statewide judicial education program. So I've served as faculty for Judicial College, which they nickname Baby Judges School, as well as Advanced Judicial Studies, and also at the Florida Circuit Judge Conference. So I teach classes to judges, magistrates, and hearing officers. I'm very involved again with our professional organizations and hold leadership roles in those. So all of this, I think, all of my background and experience, my commitment to the judiciary, and my commitment to our community, I bring a lot to the table. I am currently in the position as a circuit judge. I took an oath to follow the Constitution and the laws of the state of Florida, which I have done and I will continue to do. And one thing that's really important in my courtroom is treating everybody fairly. Everybody comes in on a level playing field, and everybody's treated with civility, respect, and courtesy, and every party is heard. So I look forward to continuing to doing that.
Thank you so much. We just spoke with Tesha Ballou. She's running for the 18th Circuit Court Judge, Group 15, serving both Seminole and Brevard County. She's one of our candidates at the Eastside Regional Hob Nob, and she will be here on June 30th at the virtual Hob Nob starting at 5:30. Make sure to check out her at the esrhobnob.com for the live video and so much more information on her. Thank you so much, Tesha. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good
Everyone
weekend.
have a great day.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.